Hey guys, welcome back to another XeroLinux collab video. And how else to start the new year than with our fellow and best Linux zealot, DT. Hey DT, how you doing?
Hey guys, Happy New Year.
How was the start, the beginning of the year?
It was all right. 2022 was a little strange in that it almost seemed like it didn't exist. It flew by so fast.
Yeah, it definitely has, especially with when especially when we're busy as maintainers, busy with our own projects and stuff. Every day passes by like as if it were minutes. We don't.
It's just different in contrast to 2020 and 2021, which because of the pandemic and the shutdown, and I had a lot of crazy weather events, natural disasters in 2020. It seemed like that year drug on for like 10 years,
Yeah.
where 2022 was like 6 weeks. It's gone.
Yeah, it was cool. It
Get it
disin
out of here. Start anew.
Start anew, and as with every end of the year, people start hoping that the new year will be the year of the Linux desktop. Uh,
Well, of course.
we're human. We have the right to hope,
No.
but are you in line with me when I say the year of the Linux desktop is far away, pretty far away, but we can keep hoping.
No, it depends on what because people imagine this year of the Linux desktop thing meaning different things. If you're meaning the day where everybody quits using Microsoft Windows on their personal computers and installs Linux, yeah, that year of the Linux desktop, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, especially when they keep demanding and demanding and demanding from developers to do things, especially with
But
me.
if you have more reasonable expectations, like we can eventually overtake Mac OS, which has about 15% of the desktop market share. Yeah, that's reasonable. I could see that year of the Linux desktop. But when you're talking 85% of the desktop market share, that's ridiculous. Like that,
Yeah, but the expectations are right. Every year, expectations rise higher and higher. It's
yeah.
natural because it's the natural progression of things.
But there's a lot of ways to look at this thing. A lot of people see the year of the Linux desktop being more of a personal thing, where the year of the Linux desktop is the year you started using Linux.
Yeah.
Why are you worried about what everybody else is using? You know,
Yeah, and I forgot to mention to everyone that's watching, this is part one. This collab is part one. Part two will be on uh, DT's channel sometime next week. Uh, Today we're going to talk about a certain subject that is very near and dear to my heart, which is monetizing projects and why it's wrong to hate. Uh, and then in part two, we're going to actually talk about the all new XeroLinux GNOME edition. Because it's intertwined with the subject today. So for part two, keep connected to DT's channel. He's gonna be We're gonna be over there talking about zero G as I call it, and people keep confusing it to zero G as zero gravity, but
yeah.
no, it's Xero G. But yeah. So in part one, this is what we're going to be talking about. What do you think about the whole idea of monetizing projects,
Well,
putting FOSS projects behind donation walls, contribution
it's
walls?
actually one of my favorite things to talk about. And I've made a few videos about it, but it's not a sexy topic, but it's one of these things that we still haven't figured out in the free and open source communities as how to appropriately monetize things. A lot of it, of course, is based on the goodwill of the community and the donation model, and that works when it's done correctly. Um, but a lot of times you have projects that don't do it correctly, or they don't ask for donations, or they don't ask in appropriate ways. They don't make it easy for people to actually give money, or they're trying to use platforms that nobody really uses, as far as financial platforms, donation platforms, subscription models that don't really work for most people. Because I years ago, one of the big examples of this in the free and open source community, and the Linux community especially, was the maintainer of Slackware. About It's been about 3 or 4 years now. He had been maintaining Slackware since 1993 as his essentially full-time job, and it got to the point where he just could not continue anymore, because financially he just couldn't make it. He was having some health issues. He didn't have enough money to even like pay medical bills and things like that. And there were some reasons behind that. He had a website with a web store that was up for a while selling merchandise, and all the proceeds from that web store weren't going to him. It was going to somebody else that set up the store or whatever. He was basically getting screwed out of some money.
Yeah.
So he made some bad business decisions. And then it just got to the point where he'd worked on this distribution for 30 years, essentially now, and is not making the kind of money. Well, really, when you went to the Slackware website, it was just a plain website, plain HTML, looked like something straight out of 1996, right? Even today, it looks that way. It's just white background, black text. There was no real donation links anywhere. Couldn't donate through things like PayPal or Patreon or anything like that. And I remember, I'm making videos about it. A lot of us in the community made videos about it and trying to raise money for this guy so he could continue working on Slackware, because he was thinking about just stop working on Slackware. And it's like, no, it's too important of a distribution just to let this thing die. It's still the oldest active distribution. So many distributions that exist today exist because Slackware existed. So I remember recommending that they put a PayPal link up. Just put a PayPal link on your website, ask for donations, and keep asking. And within a couple of weeks, I don't know, they got a couple of $1,000 worth of donations, pretty quickly, just by asking and making it easy for people to donate. And it's one of those things. Why weren't you doing this the whole time? Because it seems like a lot of, especially developers, programmers especially, what they want to do is they're passionate about code. They love sitting down at a computer and writing code. That's their thing, making that magic happen with their programs, right? And that's a beautiful thing, but then they want to get paid, but they really haven't put in the work to get paid. They think the work is writing the code, getting the programs put together. But how do I even know that you want money? How do I even know how to give you money? Because these people aren't business people. They're not marketers. That's not their game. Their game is just sitting down and writing code. And that's the disconnect that I see. I've seen so many Linux distributions, especially because I've had contact with probably the lead maintainers of 4 or 5 Linux distributions over the years that have asked me, just advice. Hey, we're struggling. Can you get the word out? We can't make any money. And they all have the same problems. They don't ask for money, and they wonder why they don't get money.
Yeah.
But you didn't ask anybody. If you did ask, you're not on, you got to have a Patreon. You got to have a PayPal. If you want to do more things than that, that's fine. You can have half a dozen different ways people can donate. But a lot of times they'll pick one weird way to donate to them, some weird service that nobody uses.
Yeah.
You got to be on the platforms that everybody's on.
Like Patreon, something that pushes people a little bit away from Patreon is because it's a recurring payment method on a monthly. So people prefer to donate one time and forget about it. They don't want to donate on a monthly thing. That's why I keep thinking both sides of the coin. Have both sides of the coin. Don't overdo it. That's why I do. Unfortunately, PayPal is not supported where I am.
Yeah, that's going to be the case with a lot of these services. But you also have to, well, yeah.
That's why I use
Yeah, it's
Patreon
tricky.
and Fundraiser, and I'm using my. I'm I'm blessed until 2029. My blessing will expire in 2029 because it's a bank account in Ireland where I was working for
Mm,
Apple,
right.
and my residency over there will expire in 2029. So with my residency, so will my bank account expire and everything
Hmm.
else, since I'm never going back. But until then, I'm using my bank account over there to get paid, and I cannot bring the money that I get paid to my bank account over there here, because it's a different currency. It's a whole different, and they don't support Lebanon. They don't transfer
Right.
to Lebanon. So I have to use a middleman.
Hmm.
So, but I am fortunate enough to have family members in Europe where I can transfer the money. But I don't have enough. I haven't raised enough to warrant a transfer. I'm still at 300 euros.
Hmm.
So 300 euros by transferring from one bank account to another, I'll dwindle it. It will dwindle down to less than 200. So and plus there's the VAT, there's the taxes, there's a lot of things. People think it's very simple to get paid to a bank account and get the exact amount over what I have in the donation or whatever service I use. I will get that exact amount, which
No.
is not true. There are charges as well. You were talking about him being scammed and stuff like that. Banks do scam us at times as well.
No.
They just insert scam charge here and scam charge here. So I'm waiting, and my situation is a little bit similar to that person, except thank the Lord, my health is okay. Uh, my situation is more along country, political and economical side of the country.
Right.
The last time we spoke, $1 was equal to around 25,000 Lebanese pounds. Today, it's double that. It's almost 50. So it keeps increasing with time. So
Yeah. Well, that part of that is, yeah, mm, the ridiculously wild inflation that's going on here in the U.S. and that's
exactly.
causing the dollar to, yeah, versus every other currency, it's way out of whack,
Yeah.
and it's causing a lot of problems. Yeah.
And we have political issues, and we're at the brink of civil war and things like that.
Hmm.
The country is not okay, and by extension, we're suffering as Lebanese people, and power is not coming. They promised us power by this month, and now it's going backwards instead of forward. They have those, those ships that park on the on port that supply portable power.
Hmm.
They act as portable power plants. Uh, they rented them. They're here, but politically they haven't agreed on anything yet. So those ships are there on the harbor, uh, costing the government or us by extension, the Lebanese people, $30,000 a day every day they're sitting there in the harbor while we're not getting anything from them because the politicians have not decided how they're going to scam us.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got to get paid. So,
Yeah, so
mm,
because of that, we're still running on generator power, and they're increasing the prices with inflation, and without enough income, I cannot keep maintaining the project or keep the project alive. It's afloat right now because I have time to kill, and I do what I can in the time where we have power. Uh, but now people kept demanding the Gnome edition, which I finally caved and created. That's an extra project to work on. That's why I'm doing this collab, and I'm doing as many collabs as I can because I'm getting as many eyes on the thing, on the situation.
well,
Uh,
make sure if these people that want things, these extra things that require a lot more work, you're gonna keep getting this.
oh
You
yeah,
just
that
hey
won't
hey,
stop.
if you really want this, subscribe to Patreon,
Yeah,
donate a few bucks,
yeah,
right? If you really want it, that way you can see if there's a real demand. Make sure that these people, especially when they ask for something, that they really want it. Because sometimes people will just, hey, why don't you do this? They just throw stuff out there, but
yeah.
and then nobody's really interested. You put in all the work, make sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Make sure that they're going to back you up on it a little bit.
One of the mistakes I think I made, I don't know if it's a mistake, is I created a new tier on Patreon called the Platinum tier.
Mhm.
It's $25 a month, and people immediately attacked me saying, "Whoa, that's more than Ubuntu Pro." Uh, so why would we pay you on a monthly basis $25 to to get just a gnome edition that is not so different than the? So I told them, you're coming to me for a reason, because I must have done something good that you liked, and you want the gnome edition with my touch on top of it. So, but is $25 too much to ask? I see a lot of people charging up, having tiers upwards of 50, 60, $70.
Yeah. There's nothing that's outrageous to charge. Charge whatever you want.
Yeah,
People either find value in it and will
and another
basically purchase it or not. And that's
And
uh,
another thing I want people to understand is we're not charging for FOSS, because immediately the immediate reaction when I announced that the GNOME edition will be, the ISO will be behind the donation wall, not the code, the ISO, uh, is that I'm not charging for the code. I'm charging for my time, the time it takes to do the research, the time it takes to build, test, because what they don't realize is I build over 50 ISOs a day, because it only takes 5 to 10 minutes to build an ISO on my beefy system. Uh, I build 5 to 10 ISOs a day to test, and every time I forget something, I break something, I have to redo, undo, make sure everything is working. There are also charges for the servers where I upload the packages that I use to build the ISOs. There's a lot of
well,
behind
of
the
course. I
scenes
mean, there's
charges.
storage calls, hosting calls, and there's a lot of things that
They don't
obviously
why don't they realize that? They expect
bandwidth
everything.
costs too. Another thing, depending on how many downloads you get, especially once you start getting a lot of downloads. I remember a couple of years ago when Linus Tech Tips first mentioned Linux for the first time, when they mentioned Manjaro on a video,
Yeah.
and Manjaro got more than 1 million downloads
Oh yeah, I remember.
in a month.
They
Now imagine the server costs involved in that all of a sudden you didn't expect. Yeah.
I'm uh, I'm uh, I'm blessed enough to have people host it for me,
Mm-hmm.
like FOSS torrents.
Right.
They're hosting it for me. They're creating a torrent and doing that for me. I have someone from South Korea hosting the ISO for me, and someone from Sweden hosting the ISO for me.
Yeah.
So I don't have those extra costs, because this is what happens when you don't have money to spend on hosting. You adapt. You find people gracious enough to contribute space on their servers, bandwidth on their servers, stuff like that for free.
Yeah.
That's what contributing means. It's giving without asking for anything in return, because they already get the advertisement by users visiting their servers to download.
And one
So
thing too, you might consider. Well, obviously, you have a YouTube channel. You may or may not want to discuss this on like XeroLinux forums and things like that, but on a YouTube channel, I'm sure you get a lot of users that'll watch your videos, is actually discuss some of what like the free software movement is about. Because the idea that free software is free as in cost, I think is a misconception that
yeah,
still way too many people have.
yeah,
Because from the beginning of the free software movement when it was created in the 1980s, the GNU project and all this. I mean, they were upfront, Richard Stallman and the GNU crowd and the Free Software Foundation, that this is not about free as in cost.
no,
We
free as in
want you to make
freedom.
money with your software. Matter of fact, in the early days uh, of GNU and Emacs, Richard Stallman actually made money selling copies of Emacs because back then it was hard It was a lot different because you actually had to put it on physical media and
Mm,
ship it out. This was before the internet. He
yeah.
made money doing that, and then he also made money, a lot of money, going around doing teaching seminars and things like that on how to use the software, Emacs in this case. So the idea that you can't profit from free software, that's not what that's about. It free is all about the freedom. As once you have the software, you can do whatever you want with it, but it's not about you get it free of charge. That's
Yeah.
absolutely not what that's about.
Exactly. This is what I'm trying to convey to the people because number one, we are all paying for internet, right? To get the internet, to make all this
Mm-hmm.
possible, we're paying for it, right? We're paying for power to feed the computers we're working on, doing all this work.
Mm-hmm.
We're paying for hosting. There's a lot of money coming out of pocket than money coming in. If we did it the way the people think, like pro bono, and left it, oh, we do it for free, we don't charge, that's it, take. At the end of the day, we're going to end up with empty pockets, no internet, no power, no nothing. And especially here in Lebanon, it's not very easy to get a job. I'm currently, okay, I have a computer store, but I sit there 8 hours a day doing nothing because I barely get any customers, just one or two customers a year because of the situation, and not many people having dollars because I charge for everything in dollars. So it's always the same price. It doesn't change. Uh, but that's not, because that's not feeding me. I need to find other ways to make money because remote jobs are also as hard to find because not all companies support Lebanon by paying to Lebanese banks. So that's even harder. So I have to figure out other ways. I was thinking on selling merch online,
Yeah,
but
that's another great way to monetize is selling merchandise. You can do a lot with t-shirts and mugs and keychains and stickers and things like that. That's what a lot of, especially like Linux distributions, some of the bigger ones do. They'll have a little merchandise store,
yeah,
and that stuff works. Some other things you could do if you have a GitHub sponsorships now. You have your monthly subscriptions on that, where that may provide a little extra income for people maybe that want to donate to you monthly. They can't do Patreon. Maybe they can subscribe monthly on GitHub. Or if you put your videos on Odyssey, Odyssey now accepts payments in US dollars.
yeah. Unfortunately, my bank is euros. They don't support that.
Uh,
they
well,
uh, they
I
they
mean, you can
emailed
always
me.
still take payments in their cryptocurrency LBCs, but right now that's not worth anything. Not that you couldn't hold on to it until hopefully the price goes up, but it's still something.
I talked to the guys behind Odyssey.
Mhm.
They replied they're working on banks in Europe to support the euro currency, and he was very forthcoming. He was really really good at communication. Uh, he was like every step of the way. He was very transparent. We are currently in talks. He sends me another email. We're reaching somewhere. Uh, and then he sent the last email he sent. The talks are currently on hold because of some situation in Europe. So they have to put it on hold. They will continue throughout 2023.
Yeah, there's a lot of politics around that.
Yeah,
Odyssey and Library is essentially a financial company. Obviously they create their own cryptocurrency, and then they're doing this platform where everybody's exchanging currencies, and there's a lot of red tape involved in getting that stuff set up. So
yeah,
hopefully they'll get that worked out. It took them a while actually to finally accept US dollars. That's only been a thing recently.
yeah,
And I'd been on the platform for about 3 years now, and finally, because
and
people complained forever, for a long time, all you could get was their crypto.
yeah.
Like,
The
no, we have to have the ability to actually get real money if we want.
he was also forthcoming by telling me it might take up to a year.
Yeah, it probably will. Yeah, because these things usually don't move quickly, but it'll get there. It'll get
but
there.
his communication and his transparency, and I love that about him. It's not like they're hiding anything. They're really forthcoming and clear about everything. I don't know why people hate on Odyssey. Okay, the crypto thing I understand, but
Well,
the
people hate on everything.
yeah, that is true. That
One
is
of the
very true.
things too is it's a sign of when something's growing and becoming popular. That's when people are going to hate on it.
Yeah.
People don't bother trashing things that don't matter. So naturally, as Odyssey's kind of grown, there's a lot of channels on Odyssey now. I don't know how many,
Uh,
probably hundreds of thousands of channels on it now, maybe millions. I don't know. There's a lot of channels, a lot of videos,
Backing up
a
using
lot of views, right?
mainly Odyssey is being used as a backup to YouTube.
And
Uh,
that's kind of how it started. But honestly, there's channels on Odyssey that probably get as many views or more views on Odyssey as they do on their YouTube channels, depending on the audience that they're trying to
a-
cater to.
and I recently realized that in order to raise credits, whatever they call credits on their platform,
Mhm.
you have to watch a lot of content to accumulate credits.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's different now. When they started, they were basically giving out credits for nothing. Pretty much anytime you clicked on something, you'd get like 5, 10, 20 LBC, which at the time were worth something. An LBC was worth, it got up as high as 40 cents or 44 cents or something at the peak of the crypto thing.
Whoa, still
But
in the
now
sense.
LBCs are like worth a penny or something. It's pretty low.
Yeah, so I'm good with Odyssey as a backup to YouTube. I don't watch anything over there. I mainly watch stuff on YouTube because the sheer amount of things that are on YouTube, and because I follow LTT, and LTT are never gonna move there. So I have to have YouTube because I cannot stop consuming LTT videos.
Yeah. But as
Because
far as being a backup plan, I think I could envision the same thing happening to Odyssey that recently happened to Mastodon. Is that, all of a sudden people didn't want to be on Twitter, didn't like what's happening with Twitter. We're going to explore something else. One day, YouTube is going to piss off enough people
yeah,
where they're going to explore something else. And I think some of these people are going to be shocked that something like Odyssey already exists and it's pretty good.
yeah, I
And
really like the design also of Odyssey. The
mhm,
It's way better than YouTube. Their player is good. There's nothing bad about Odyssey except maybe the LBC and stuff like that. But
yeah,
it's a pretty good platform. PeerTube is really bad, design wise, hosting wise, because you have to host your own videos and it will
yeah.
cost you bandwidth and
Well,
it's
also PeerTube is again, it's created by programmers, right?
yeah.
It's not necessarily businessmen. They're not marketing this as like they're putting up peertube.com to actually attract people to come to it, where Odyssey is actually a real company. They want to build a real website, real mobile app, and things like that to attract people to go to it. Where PeerTube is just, we're going to create this free and open source platform, this peer to peer protocol. But again, they're not marketers, right? They're
Yeah,
not trying to create this thing necessarily. That's,
and there is something I didn't discover yet about Odyssey. Is it open source? Do they have?
I don't know about the website itself. The protocol, the library protocol behind everything is open source. And you
At
don't
least,
have to actually be on Odyssey to view those videos. You can actually install the library app, which is a mobile app. It's also a desktop app. It's available on Linux. And you can just watch everything in this. It's an Electron app,
mm,
essentially. So like a Chromium
mm.
browser. And you can watch everything
That's pretty
through
cool.
it.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And
I don't know about exactly how free everything is as far as like Odyssey is a different company than Library because the
yeah,
website is a front end just pulling in the library stuff, but the Odyssey guys are separate from the library guys. So
it's yeah, it's like WebCord. It's a free open source UI for a closed source Discord backend. So kind of the same idea. But continuing on the idea of monetizing, I'm even exploring. I explored and I applied for Google AdSense
mhm.
because I get a lot of visits on the website, and in a week I made $20.
Yep.
It's pretty good, but the only problem is I had to use my old Irish address because my bank is in Ireland.
Right.
So I had to talk to my old landlord because the way Google AdSense verifies your address is they send an envelope with a PIN in it. So I talked to my landlord. I told her, watch out for an envelope from Google. I don't know what an envelope from Google looks like. So I told her, look for an envelope that has my name on it, basically. Uh, and send me the PIN. It's been 3 weeks, nothing. I think Google takes, and
It takes a while. It
uh,
takes a while.
yeah, they said 2 to 3 weeks, but because of Christmas and New Year, I
Yeah.
think it's gonna
That's
take
pretty
longer.
much everybody that does anything with websites. Everybody's got an AdSense account, so they got a lot of people to verify.
So basically,
I made the mistake. Well, it's not a mistake, but when I applied to Google AdSense, I did this like 25 years ago. And I did it so long ago that, like, at the end of the year, when they send me like tax information, or they're supposed to, I always have to go through this whole hassle, like with YouTube, to contact them to send me tax documentations and things. Because AdSense, when I signed up, I know I was living in a different state at the time, city and state. I don't even know what email address I had at the time. I don't know what my phone number. Like, they
oh
want to
yeah,
verify all of this information from 25 years ago. Like, from I've done moved like 4 or 5 different times since then. I don't remember anything about what I was doing as far as
yeah, it
address,
happens.
phone number, and email. So I can't get any of that information to me. I always have to bug the
Yeah,
hell out of their support for.
I think they're gonna do the same thing because Ireland, if I'm not mistaken, out of my top of my head, they have also, but they don't require tax papers or whatever. In Europe, it's different. It's
Yeah.
the country that takes care of all that. They
But
just
one day you may need a yearly statement or something from AdSense. So make sure whatever you sign up, make sure whatever email and phone and this
oh yeah,
address, and make sure you save that forever, because don't be surprised 20 years down the road you need that information, and you wouldn't have it if you
this is where Bitwarden comes in handy.
Bitwarden.
Yeah, I have all this information saved locally saved, of course, on my
Hmm.
Raspberry Pi. Like I said on your Patreon cast, everything is saved on my Raspberry Pi, locally safe on my SSD, safe from online prying eyes. So I have my banking information, my emails, my login information, my address, my Irish addresses, my old every address I
Yeah,
moved
write
to
it all
is
down. Let's keep it in a notebook somewhere.
yeah. So
Especially stuff like that. It's not like it's sensitive information. Address and an old phone number. I just write that down and store it with.
Yeah, and my browser, I saved my Irish address in my browser as well. It's not personal information. I don't live there anymore,
Yeah,
so
right. It doesn't matter. They can go there and knock on the door. You're not there.
I'm not there. So, but in essence, I'm looking on different ways how to monetize the project without really putting the code, the actual code behind a paywall. Like that's why in part two we're going to be talking when we talk about Zero Linux Gnome Edition or Zero G.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm going to be explaining what kind of a donation paywall I put it behind. It's just that the code is not behind anything. The code is there, available for everyone to build from. If they don't want to spend
Right.
however minutes to build the actual ISO and and it's more beneficial to build the ISO than it is to get a pre-built ISO because
Yeah.
the when they build it, they get the latest packages in. They pull the latest packages in. They got the latest and greatest on the ISO when they build it at the time of building. Whereas if
Hmm.
I ship the ISO to someone who requested it like today and I didn't have time to give it to them for a week, and I give it to them 2 weeks down the line, they're gonna have packages that are 2 weeks old, and they would have to run an update
Right.
and endure the update process.
Well,
So
again, some of this is, a lot of people are just iffy on the whole free software thing. It's, is the software free? As in
yeah,
freedom, you can do whatever. Yes, it is. But like what I mentioned with Richard Stallman back in the day selling Emacs on probably
Yeah.
floppies back then. Are those floppies free? No, he had to buy
Buy them.
those.
Yeah.
He had to spend time putting the information on it, and he had to spend some shipping costs shipping it to you. Is that free? No, you have to pay for that.
Exactly.
But the software that's on that floppy, once you get it, it's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. But
Exactly. The same thing
same thing with the
applies.
ISO. Same thing with
Yeah.
a lot of free and open source software, like I know Ardour,
Yeah.
the popular digital audio program. Ardour, what they do, it's all free and open source software,
Yeah.
but they have a version that they require payment for because they make a binary for it. And if you want the precompiled binary that they've already set up for you, that's ready to go, you pay for it.
Yeah.
You don't want to pay for the binary that they built for you. There's the GitHub. There's the source code.
Yeah.
You go build it yourself.
And speaking of Ardour, you reminded me of a video interview with the creator of Ardour, the maintainer of Ardour, one of the maintainers of Ardour. It's a team effort, but one of the maintainers of Ardour, a guy who makes videos on how to use Ardour as well on his YouTube channel. He was like, it was an old interview from 2021, I think, but he mentioned that he dislikes the fact that Ardour is on the AUR. He doesn't agree with the idea because it's a binary, it's a bin, it's a binary, but it's compiled not using their guide or their way of doing things. It's created by the maintainer of the AUR package. He does things. He's against it because you never know what the maintainer of the AUR package will insert into the package. That is not what Ardour was supposed to be. He's against distros shipping with Ardour built into them. They're okay with distros providing ways to grab it, but not including it on the ISO.
At the end of the day, I mean, the license permits people to do whatever they want with your software.
Yeah.
You can complain about it, but that's all you can do is complain about it. You really... you're kind of wasting your time complaining about it in a lot of ways. And honestly, if it was such a big deal, you didn't like the Arch package, how it's currently built. Well, okay, well, write your own package build. It would take them 5 minutes, to just write their own package build, so it build exactly the way they want, and then throw that in the AUR, and that would be fine.
Yeah, but same thing goes with OBS.
It's like the people that complain. Yeah, it's like the people that complain about, some of these companies, they don't like the current build of their package as a snap or a flat pack, or whoever's maintaining it as an app image. Well, especially if you're a bigger project, why don't you actually build those package formats yourself instead of complaining about the people that did it for you?
Yeah.
Because, that's a little...
Like for example,
you're being a little bit...
same thing happened to OBS. A lot of people, like someone we both know, Hippie Daddy, they installed OBS when he was using Arch. He preferred the package from the Arch repository, and it works fine for what they want, but it's incomplete. Even the developers of OBS on their Discord server, they keep telling everyone to install the Flatpak, because that's the official way to get OBS with the complete browser plugin and all the prerequisites built in.
Well, when these developers mention things that are incomplete, it's not that necessarily they're incomplete. Every package can be built with certain plugins and flags built in.
Yeah.
And some people will choose to do it a different way than you. So if you're the lead of a project and you really want everybody to use a certain build of your software, then you should be trying to package your software in as many formats as possible. The problem is
they're out of line.
The community is trying to help these projects.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually just kind of rude and disrespectful if you say, the community did a bad thing by packaging your software for you.
Well,
I know
not
I don't.
exactly. Not exactly. It's because the idea behind where behind the idea of the lead developer saying that
Mhm.
is because all the packages are out of sync. And today I was watching a video by Matt, the Linux experiment, where he was talking about Flatpaks. One of the things he mentioned, and he was on point. I wanted to congratulate him on what he said. He was like, why are Flatpaks so good? Because no matter what distro you install them on, what system you install them on, they're all in sync. It's the same exact package. Whereas if you take the package of OBS versus the Flatpak, they're out of sync. They're not aligned. They're
Yeah, but
different.
it's an easy That's actually an easy problem to solve on Arch because if you want everybody to use the Flatpak, then even like the maintainer of OBS, they could still create an AUR package that just installs the Flatpak.
Well,
So that's it's
but
not hard to do. There's actually a lot of AUR programs that when they build themselves, they actually just pull down a snap or a Flatpak or app image.
or Deb.
Or yeah, Debian packages
Mm,
especially because what they'll do is they'll basically compile the source code out of a Debian package
yeah.
to make an Arch package. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But what you are saying is correct because,
Hmm.
but the way they are doing it, they have to talk to the maintainer on the Arch on the AUR because if you want more users, you want to spread your package to more users and all be in line,
Hmm.
in sync. You have to tell the maintainer of the AUR package to include everything that's already included in the Flatpak. But being different in some cases does not work. In other cases, it works. It doesn't matter. Each package
But
is
yeah, but if they contacted the maintainer of the AUR package and said, you know what, appreciate you doing this package build, but
yeah,
here's a better one I wrote for you that I think would better serve the community. I'm sure the guy would just
yeah.
change the package build and
One. If you look up OBS on the AUR, you're gonna find one by Titan 652.
mhm,
Uh, Titan 652 is one of the maintainers of OBS on their official Discord server. And he's the one who created that package, but building that package is such a nightmare that very few people even attempt it because it uses the OCF or whatever it's called, OCE, whatever from
yeah,
the
no,
Electron,
yes, is that the
the,
libraries that
the
give you
Electron.
like browser plugins
Yeah,
for
yeah.
yeah.
Compiling that is a nightmare. And
And I have compiled that myself. Actually, I compile that myself every time I install OBS on Arch because I use
yeah,
some of that stuff.
it's a nightmare. It takes me on my beefy system. It takes me up to an hour to compile it. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, this is the correct OBS package because it's in line and in sync with the Flatpak. But building it is such a nightmare that
Hmm.
so very few people even attempt it. But and recently it has come to light that OBS, in some cases, for streaming gaming sessions on, let's say, Twitch or the likes,
Hmm.
you need to, and especially when you're using NVIDIA card, you have to patch the NVIDIA drivers using NVFBC because NVIDIA frame cache, frame buffer
Right.
cache, to have a smoother experience, to have every frame fed to OBS. Uh, you have to use OBS 27.4 or 27.2.4. You
Mhm.
cannot go 28 because 28 they started, and 28 and the upcoming 29 version of OBS, they're gonna go start taking away features.
Yeah.
So it's
One thing too with these package maintainers that complain about the way certain people package things is I understand ideally you would like everybody to use this one package format that you put out there. Um, but realistically, it doesn't work on all operating systems. And OBS being cross platform, you're always going to deal
yeah,
with the,
because they have their own
right.
team. They have sections of the team. You got this section responsible for the Windows edition. This
Because
section,
Flatpak is only going to work on most of the mainstream GNU/Linux distributions, but some of the really weird ones that are cropping up these days that do weird things with their file systems and things like that. Flatpak, I think, works on NixOS just fine, but I
Yeah.
don't think it works at all on something like GNU Geeks, for example. Then you got all the BSD operating systems. I don't know if OBS even runs on OBS, but I know Flatpak, snaps, and app images
Yeah,
are not a thing on
and
BSD right now. So,
well, it works on vanilla OS that you recently looked at. I haven't
yeah.
finished watching the video yet, but uh,
But vanilla OS was interesting because it's just pulling down. For example, if you do apx install OBS, and with no other argument, it installs OBS from the Ubuntu repo. But if
uh,
you give it
uh-huh.
apx install OBS space dash dash AUR, it goes and searches the Arch repository
Yeah.
for an OBS package and installs it from Arch. And
Yeah.
the reason it can do that is because, and same thing with if you give it dash dash DNF, it gets the Fedora package, and whatever package it installs and compiles, it containerizes. So you have that particular version of
Oh,
OBS, the one either from Ubuntu,
so
Arch, or Fedora.
basically it pulls the source code.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can install the glorious eggroll version of OBS, which is
Yeah.
super complete, especially for
Mm-hmm.
streamers. It includes the Stream FX plugin.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking for Stream FX plugin for the Flatpak edition. They promised that they are going to deliver, but so far they haven't delivered. It's not on the FlatHub yet, but I'm waiting. I'm gonna keep waiting because I love the way Flatpak works. It's so weird. Matt, I don't know if if I don't remember if he mentioned it in his video, but if you install OBS from a front end, from a store front end like Pamac or GNOME Software or the likes, you're gonna get
Discover. You don't use Discover as a KDE user.
no. I'm allergic to Discover.
Muon, is that still a thing?
Bau is a thing, and Bau is good. I have nothing bad to say about it. Uh, from storefront ends, like official storefront ends, if you install OBS as a Flatpak, that's all you're gonna get. But if you search OBS in terminal, you go Flatpak, install OBS, it's gonna give you all the plugins they host as well.
Yeah.
But
I've noticed that as well, as
you
far
won't
as
you won't get the plugins in a storefront end GUI. I don't understand why.
and one of the things with some of these the universal packaging formats like Flatpak and also snaps and app images, is the fact that you can run older versions of a piece of software if you
Yeah.
want. You're not going to get that offered to you in a GUI, right? You're going to have to go to the command line and specifically specify an older version of something if that's what
Well,
you want to.
I'll have to contradict you on that. On FlatHub, they don't give you access to OBS 27, only 28.
No. Mm.
So you want the 27, you either have to go Snap or App Image, or just go AUR. But
Yeah, because yeah, I've got to have the ability to downgrade a broken package.
you can on FlatHub, but for some reason OBS you get only as far down as 28.0. You cannot go lower than 28.0 because now we're up to 28.2 or whatever, and with the 29 coming up. So I don't know. They reset.
Maybe that's the oldest version that's ever been put on FlatHub, or were there older versions that they
There
just
was.
have removed?
Yeah, they removed
Yeah, I don't know why
27.2.4.
I guess you wouldn't want to maintain something for
Too long.
forever, but
Yeah,
I would want to maintain it for at least a few years for
I know.
especially older equipment.
Yeah.
Maybe people running really old distributions, Debian.
Mm.
You're gonna want to maintain some of those old packages.
I know that from a friend, from my co-host, my podcast co-host, Jesse.
Hmm.
He uses plugins, OBS plugins that are not compatible with 28 series, and he
Yeah.
has to patch the NVIDIA drivers, and OBS for some reason doesn't offer you certain features in the streaming aspect. Uh, but he has to stick to 27.2.4. and he cannot go with Flatpak to the older version. He could only find 28, so he had to go through hoops, jump through hoops to get 27 dot. And he got the Debian, and he was able to depackage dpkg the Debian and convert it to a Arch package and install that. So he had to go through a lot of hoops to get an older
that is
27 series version. Yeah. Otherwise, you can go Debian, like you said, and just
'Cause I've had to do that a couple of times where I take somebody's package format and you just decompress it, take it out of the archive, and then you just rebuild it in whatever package format,
yeah.
RPM or Arch packaging, whatever it is. And no one should have to do that.
We mentioned on your
We could do that. We're nerds.
Yeah.
But an average computer user, not going to do that.
Exactly. And we mentioned that on your Patreon cast as well. If Arch continues to make such bad decisions,
I don't know if it's bad decisions. I had mentioned, I think a lot of it really is just growing pains.
yeah,
I think the popularity of Arch in the last, especially 5 years or so, has really caused them. They need a bigger team.
yeah.
They just need more people.
But if it continues on this route, like maintaining the like they did in September, as I call the Grub-tember, because Grub broke in September. If they keep doing things like that on my working machine, to have a working machine 24/7 without any headaches, Debian.
Yeah. Because I've run Arch-based distributions mainly on my workstation and my home computer for about 4 or 5 years now. And only in the last 6 months to a year have I noticed broken packages being a real issue. I mean, it happens occasionally, but you kind of expected it to happen occasionally. But now it seems like on a regular basis, especially, well, I mentioned on camera, Kdenlive, GIMP, LibreOffice, some of these bigger programs that I use on a regular basis, they break all the time.
Yeah.
Like every update, something breaks those programs. And I think a lot of that is maintainers. They need more package maintainers. I think they need to
more testers.
Well, they just need a call out to the community. This is another thing, because distro maintainers sometimes are not great community managers either. Put out a call. We need people maintain packages for us. So many thousands of people are putting packages on the AUR. Why not make them official team members and put some of this stuff in actually the core repository? Why is Brave an AUR package?
Why is Optimus Qt in an AUR package?
Right. That stuff needs to be in the standard repository.
It's an essential package for Optimus laptop users. Why is it on the AUR? Why do they have to compile it? Recently, Inksy, which was on the regular Debian repositories, just made it into the public Arch repositories.
No.
And Inksy is necessary for troubleshooting.
I think the AUR has kind of served the Arch team as being, and we've got all these thousands of people building these packages, maintaining these packages for us without them not actually being Arch packages, meaning if something breaks, we can blame it on this third-party repo we have nothing to deal with, instead of
taking the blame ourselves.
Taking the responsibility. Some of this stuff needs to be in your core repositories.
Yeah, like this is what the XeroLinux repository acts as. It acts as a middleman, removing the requirement of building the package. Like recently I did with Jellyfin. There was a reviewer who reviewed XeroLinux. He was like, hey, I don't see Jellyfin on there. Why isn't Jellyfin on there? It was only one user who mentioned it in his YouTube video review. I decided to build it and put it on my repository because, okay, Jellyfin is the free open source alternative to Plex, which I use. I use Plex. I'm a Plex user.
I'm glad you explained that because I didn't know what the hell Jellyfin was.
I use Plex, and people hate me.
I would have been perturbed too. It's like I need this program. It's like, well, what is it? I've never heard of it.
I didn't know what it was, but I looked it up, and who made a video about it? Other than Tech Hut. It's Tech Hut. So Tech Hut made the video about Jellyfin, and I saw the fact that it is a free open source alternative to closed source Plex. So I use Plex because I'm used to it and I know how it works. And I had it set up on my Manjaro HTPC for like 3 years now. Uh, why change? I'm not gonna repopulate everything, redo all the work. But I see the benefit of Jellyfin. That's why I decided, okay, it's useful, it's open source, so I'm gonna build it so the user doesn't have to build it, especially the FFmpeg encoder codec.
Mhm.
This one takes 30 minutes to build. I saved the users the hassle, so I created in the XeroLinux tool. The nice thing about the way it was built, there's a package installer. It's written in YAML. Some people hate YAML. I don't know why, but
Really?
yeah,
Who's the people that hate YAML?
a lot of them on my Discord. They all say, "YAML, you're crazy." Okay,
We had this discussion this past weekend. I hate YAML, right?
yeah. So,
Uh,
but the best part of it is I can tell it to install jellyfin-bin,
mhm.
which I built. I can include as an attachment as extra packages related to Jellyfin, the FFmpeg codec, the mobile thing, everything that's related to Jellyfin. So when you hit this do the checkbox on Jellyfin, it's going to install jellyfin.bin dash bin and everything else that belongs to Jellyfin. So it's pretty neat.
What
Uh,
I'm really waiting on is, or what is it? It's the app image to Arch script. I did a video on that a couple of months back where it's this conversion tool which will take anything from the standard Arch repository or from the chaotic AUR
mm.
and convert it to an app image.
Oh, nice. That's a pretty
And
nice tool.
then once you can pretty much take anything in the Arch repo or in the AUR, but right now it doesn't do the standard AUR because they're not binaries.
Mm.
It can only take a binary and convert
Mm.
it to an app image. Most of the AUR packages are just the package build and they got to compile. But they're working on getting that to work with the AUR. And once you can do that, if we can just convert everything on Arch to app images, then building packages for people becomes a lot easier because,
Yeah,
hey, let me just run it through the script. Here's an app image. Go
yeah.
run it.
It's a portable
You're gonna
app. It's a portable
right.
app. That's another thing that when I watched your video about app images, I started in my head and I don't know if some people do that or just us YouTubers, but in one side of my brain, I was or this side of my face, I was watching the without watching. So I was watching your video, it was playing, but in my head, I was replaying for comparison the another video about Flatpaks. So as I was watching your app image video, I started comparing in my head. Oh, but there's something nobody thinks to mention, which I think you glossed by, is the fact that app images are portable. Flatpaks are not. They're containerized, but they're not portable. You cannot take them manually, put them on a USB, and expect them to work. You have to reinstall the Flatpaks. Whereas with the app images, you can put everything on a USB, just run them
Yeah.
from a USB.
Well, I'm sure there's probably ways to side load a Flatpak because I know I can actually carry snap packages around with me if I want. I can build my own snap packages and put them on a thumb drive, and then snap like you can actually install a local snap on your system. It doesn't have to come down from Snapcraft. So I bet you could probably do that with Flatpak too, but I am not 100%
I'm not. I'm
positive
not
on that.
sure. I'm not sure either because they put files sometimes in different places.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
But even if you could do that, obviously it's still easier with app image because you don't have to install anything. It's just you put the file on your system and
you put
go.
it on a US thumb drive. I come
Yeah.
as
Yeah, you
everybody
don't even
else.
have to put it on your system. You could run it off the thumb drive if you didn't
Exactly.
mind. Yeah.
This is what I do on Windows. On Windows, I have one of those. What it is? Come on, baby. I have one of those. It's an external NVMe SSD in an enclosure.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm an ROG fanboy. Okay. But and RGB. But this is an NVMe inside a USB-C enclosure which goes at 5 gigabits per second. I have my Windows portable apps on this thing. I have over, I think, 80 gigabytes worth of. I even have the Adobe Suite as portable applications on this one. Uh, I can do the same with app images. I can just create a separate folder, but this is NTFS, so it defies the purpose. But anyway, if I wanted to, I could have formatted it in exFAT or something, make it universal, put Windows portables in a folder and app images in another folder, and I have my portable app library over here, and I can use them on
Or
any
yeah,
system.
you could, or put two partitions on it. Put
Yeah.
a Windows file system and a Linux file system
That's what
like
I'm thinking on
Extend4.
doing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking on doing.
Hmm.
But portable apps are so
Hmm.
beneficial, especially if you go from one place to the other, or you have multiple computers. Instead of having, especially with a bad internet like mine, instead of having to reinstall the packages on each system, you can run the same exact applications from this thing. You just plug it in and you're good to go.
And the biggest thing with app images for me is that portability. The other thing with app images
Is
compared to
updates,
snaps and Flatpaks
update, updates.
is you can actually run more stuff as an app image because there's limitations with snaps and Flatpaks. Flatpaks more so than the other two, but snaps even there's some
Oh,
things you can't run as a snap. But like app image, you can run it a shell as an app image.
yeah,
I
you
can
can.
download Bash as an app image
Yeah,
and run the Bash shell as an app. Like that's kind of neat.
yeah.
It's
App images are good, but the only thing that's dragging them down right now is
mhm.
their distribution style, the way they distribute the app images. There's
Yeah. There's
no,
no real distribution. It's
there's
you create
no
an app image and hopefully people find it wherever you put
Yeah,
it on the internet because there's no central hub.
exactly. There's no. There's a lot of attempts, failed attempts at that, to create a storefront, GUI storefront for them,
Yeah.
but they're
Well,
so
there's
badly
been a lot of
maintained.
growing pains with all three of those formats: snaps, flatpaks, and app images,
Less,
because they all date back. Well, snaps and app images date back at least 10 years.
yeah.
Snaps originally started off as a package format called click packages back 10, 12 years ago with Ubuntu and Canonical. They were trying to build this new package format. I think at the time, mainly for the Ubuntu Touch operating system that they were working on for the phones that they were eventually going to try to sell. Obviously, all of that didn't work out, but this package format kind of lived on. They converted it to the name Snaps and mainly for IoT devices and servers.
Yeah,
And then it kind of became, well, we need this for the desktop. And Snaps had the central store,
yeah,
but app images didn't. And then when Flatpaks were invented later, Flatpaks didn't have a central store, and people hated that about Flatpak. Well, you need a store. I need one store where I can go get Flatpaks. And then they created FlatHub to solve that problem. App images really don't have anything like that. And you
unfortunately.
got pros and cons. Some people see the central store where everything is hosted, like Snapcraft or FlatHub, as a good thing. Some people see it as a negative. Some people want, this kind of decentralized. Anybody can create an app. And it's all over the internet. Go find it, just like we did back in Windows back in the day. You go find the executable on the internet, download it, and hope it doesn't hose your system.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, for
No.
convenience, I can tell you every computer user, just for convenience, prefers having an app store.
Do you can you and here's another thing. Can you install app images via the terminal? No, you can't. I don't think so.
There's some command line tools that allow you to install app
Oh.
images.
Oh, okay.
That obviously they have to know where the app images are,
Yeah.
but a lot of people now, if you're creating app images for bigger projects, they typically list it on a site, App Image Hub,
Yeah.
appimagehub.com.
Yeah. But it's a
And there are
website.
some command line tools that, you know, interact with App Image Hub.
Why
So if you
doesn't
do,
anyone make an Electron app out of the image app image hub, for example?
you could. That would be very easy to do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's
I mean,
another.
the same thing with I mean, how many people have turned the GNOME Software Center into Snapcraft or FlatHub?
Yeah,
Well,
there's
you've got people that have already done that. Why don't you do that with App Image Hub?
uh 1 second. I just remembered something. Flat. I'm just typing it. Flathub.org. Uh, I just remembered there is a storefront for app images, one that is available as a flat pack on FlatHub called App Image Pool.
Yeah, I think I showed that off on a video a while back, just briefly, but it is a neat little graphical store.
Yeah, but the problem with
It's not
that,
like it's not the GNOME Software Center or anything like. It's more of a like a custom built software center, and it's a little. When I tried to use it, it's a little flaky. Some things
it is
would install, some things wouldn't.
some things would give you a screenshot, a description, but no install
Yeah,
button, and others. And they put the different versions separately instead of under the same
yeah. It looks
package.
really neat, but you get the idea with this kind of program that whoever was creating it and working on it
And it's a
might have
GTK and it's a GTK app.
they bit off more than they could chew, right? They're trying to build this big thing and they can't really quite get it right, and it needs more people working on it.
Yeah, and it's a GTK based app, and it's a GTK 3 based app.
Mm-hmm.
They need to update it to GTK 4 because as I was building GNOME, the GNOME edition, I realized right off the bat that theming GTK 4 is better leave it alone. Leave it alone. Not all themes have been updated. Most themes are using hacks to get their themes working on libadwaita. So I left it alone. I was like, dude, you either ship a stable system or you ship a mess. So I decided, no, stable. I stuck to libadwaita dark. So if users want to theme it, they're free. Gradients is included. They can do it. They can break their system, but it's on them, not on me.
Yeah.
Just they should know that GNOME GTK 4, forget about it. Theming it, forget about it.
I don't typically do GUI stores, so it's not a big deal for me. I know it would be for most computer users. For app images, though, there is an app image command line tool called the App Image CLI tool.
Oh,
Yeah,
basic name.
it's been around for a few years. I've got it on my system, and I don't use it that often because typically I'll just go grab the app image off the internet anyway. But you could do app, just app
Mm.
is the command line binary app install name a program, and if it's on App Image Hub, it should just pull it down.
Oh, nice. I would. Oh, now you gave me another package to add
Yeah.
to the ZeroLinux tool.
I think it can also install from other locations like GitHub, because most things on App Image Hub are really just the app image is hosted in a repository on GitHub anyway. I think
Yeah.
you could give it the GitHub URL as well and just pull things down.
I'll check it out. And I recently added Tocodon for Mastodon.
Oh, okay.
Tocodon is a new client for Mastodon that was created. It's a Qt based app. So I'm on KDE, so cool. It's native to KDE basically. It's a pretty nifty little uh, client. It doesn't have edit features or all the stuff you get on the website, but
Right.
it's getting there. It's slowly getting there. There's a lot of clients. There's another client that is I use iOS. It's a mobile client for Mastodon. It's on. It is available for iOS, except it's $4. So no, don't have funds on on my Apple ID. So
Yeah. I, back in the day, I used to use one. Was it called Toot Don or something on Android? Now, what I've been here the last couple of years is called Tusky.
Dusky is good.
Yeah.
But even the official Mastodon app on at least on iOS doesn't have the edit feature. All these new features to the website, they haven't trickled down to the mobile apps.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting
And
for.
I don't really like. I have Tusky installed on my phone. I probably haven't logged into it in 2 years.
All you do
because
is
yeah, I
share
hate
videos.
notifications on my phone, so I never want to I don't want to get that stuff on my phone.
Let's not get started about notifications.
Yeah.
My watch is currently muted because I
Yeah.
get notified every time somebody mentions me on Discord, because I have to have a Discord as a maintainer
Yeah.
to provide support. But ding 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 every 5 seconds, so I muted it.
Hmm.
And by the way, this is the Apple Watch Series 2. It's old as heck, but
A
as long as,
classic.
by the way, a little off topic, a little bit.
Mhm.
Use I don't care if users see that in the video, but on your end, I couldn't find it. If you could help me, send me a link where I could buy the Pebble Steel watch.
The Pebble Steel watch.
You never heard of it?
I've never, but
No. Yeah, okay.
I'm not big into
It's
that kind of tech. But I,
it's a similar watch, except it uses an e-ink display. The battery lasts 7 days, and I couldn't find it on Amazon. I looked on Amazon. There's a
and
lot
well, if
of
you can't find it on Amazon, then that's a problem. That means you're probably not going to find it anywhere typically.
because the Pebble company got purchased by Fitbit, which Fitbit got bought by Google and then
No,
buried.
yeah, currently unavailable. We don't know when or if this item will be in stock. And that's from Amazon. That means the manufacturer probably has discontinued it, or
Yeah, that's why, because
yeah.
Pebble was bought by Fitbit, and then Fitbit was bought by Google. So it's
So,
under seventh L.
so what you're probably going to have to do is buy it used. You're probably looking at eBay or something like that.
That watch new was around $40. Forty
Well,
dollars.
you're gonna pay more than that now if you
Yeah, of
want it.
course, of course.
Yeah.
And the Pebble Steel. Why was it called the Pebble? The Pebble Steel was because it had a steel bracelet basically,
Mm,
and it was a colored e-ink display, and it doesn't have a speaker or anything. Its whole purpose in life was to give you notifications. No heart rate exercise and all that crap. No
it doesn't
sensors.
tell you how many steps you walk today,
No, it does,
does
but
it?
all watches are stupid. You move your hand, it's a step.
Hmm.
Uh, but I'm looking for that watch because it's a classic. My Pebble Steel, which was a Kickstarter backer edition, died on a pebble beach. Pebble watch died on a pebble beach in Greece. Fitting end for the watch,
Hmm.
but I really got butthurt because I lost it. I really want it. It's a dead company. Even the app doesn't work. It doesn't connect to their official servers. There's a patch to apply to it to read, which will redirect the app to a community backed store for the watch faces and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I love that watch. I want to find it again. Anyway, back on subject. Even the app image pool app, as bad as it is, the guy tried to monetize the project via donations, but he wasn't getting any donations, so he's doing it without donation as much as he can.
No. I think the problem with a tool like that is it's hard to get people to donate to something that's kind of incomplete.
Yeah, but it can only
I've
be
mentioned this. I've mentioned this before on camera too. Is a lot of free and open source software projects. They want to obviously raise money, which I get it. But like in the proprietary software world, when somebody's thinking about monetizing something, what do? Well, they write a piece of software and they eventually get it to a 1.0 release and then they sell it to the public.
Yeah.
But these free and open source software guys, sometimes they want to kind of get something to a half-ass state and then expect people to pay for it. Where the proprietary software world doesn't even do that. Like they're not getting paid until it's ready. So until you actually get something to a state where it's actually ready to be given to the public and is actually kind of worse, it's a 1.0 kind of release, it's hard to get somebody
But
to pay for that.
to counter this argument, a lot of projects need the money to get them to 1.0, especially when it's being done by 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, but
I can no longer say I'm the only one doing XeroLinux, because now I have 3 or 4 members of the team. One who created the welcome app. Another
Yeah,
one
I
who,
would agree with that, but I think if it's a problem of money to even develop the application to get it started, then you probably should be doing something like a Kickstarter uh,
yeah,
campaign rather than paying, because the way they're doing it now, you're essentially kind of like paying for the app so you could use the app. But if the app's not really good, what am I really paying for? If half the time I can't use it, people, people get confused about what exactly they're paying for. Where
yeah.
a Kickstarter campaign, I know I'm paying so you can actually eventually build this thing into something usable. Where if I'm just giving you money, hey, donate because I've got this application, you'll love it, and I give somebody money for it, and then the application is broken, then I feel like I was scammed a little bit.
Yeah, like
I got played, right?
like in my case, users keep like we discussed earlier. They keep coming on Discord. They say, "Oh, you created XeroLinux KDE edition, so you can create XeroLinux GNOME edition, so you can create XeroLinux Awesome WM edition, so you can create," and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, I can. If you really want it, you have to show your willingness
Hey,
to.
that's a great idea for your new additions. Do a Kickstarter. Hey, set a goal. Hey, we meet this goal, we'll do it. If we don't, everybody that donated, of course, the money just
Goes
goes
back.
back to them anyway.
Yeah.
So there's no harm, no foul on that. But hey, see if there's actually real interest. If there's real interest, we'll do it. If there's
Because
not,
yeah, because there is one new edition that I'll be working on throughout 2023. It will
you told me about that Xmonad edition. I'm pretty excited about
actually it's the so far we decided on Awesome WM. Uh, there's one
it. That's
guy,
going to be cool too.
that user who proposed the idea. I was like, why not Qtile? Qtile is written in Python. Python is more users understand Python than they understand Lua.
Honestly, Qtile it would be easier on the user just because of the language.
But the reason he proposed Awesome WM is because he knows Awesome WM more than he knows anything else.
But
Because
obviously, if the developer, whoever you're going to get to work on the project, if they're not a Pythonista, it doesn't make sense for them to jump into
yeah,
Qtile. If they know Lua, hey,
yeah.
why not?
And the best part of it is, I told him there, if you commit to it, it will
Mm-hmm.
happen. It's not me who's going to commit. I'm going to commit. I'm just going to maintain the packages that are being used, XeroLinux packages that are going to be used. But other than that,
Yeah.
he's going to be the maintainer. He has to commit to the project for me to be to work on it, to even consider working on it. Because I'm not a window manager user. Because as you said on the Patreon cast, window managers are nothing but the beginnings of a desktop environment. So
Right.
it's a desktop environment without the fluff, without all the stuff. So that's why we rely on key bindings and not the mouse. I was like, okay, dude, you're ready to do it? You want to commit? It'll happen. I'm ready. I will commit to learning a little bit. I'm not going to be maintaining it. I'm not going to be using it. Therefore, troubleshooting is all on you. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, I'm all for it. How many times have I heard that?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have I heard that? They say, yeah, yeah. A month passes, they're gone. They
Yeah. Well,
disappear. And I'm left
you get that
with
a
all the
lot.
way.
I get people requesting weird things from me, things to do on video, but even outside just the video content I do, people want me to create pieces of software or maintain distros or, hey, DT, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you learn this programming language and then do this with it?
Oh
And it's
yeah.
like, do you know how many hundreds of hours I would have to put into
Are
what you
we
just,
are we
why don't you do that? And then you make a video about it and I'll watch it.
are we in the matrix?
Yeah.
Do we just jack in, take 30 seconds, and
Yeah.
we know everything?
Oh,
I
some of the things that people have requested of me, I should like write a list one day because some of them are so outrageous.
Yeah,
Like I had one guy, Awesome Window Manager, you
yeah.
just mentioned. I had someone, I made a video, I made a few videos on Awesome, but he wanted me, hey, DT, since you like Awesome Window Manager, why don't you really deep dive into all of the awesome widget libraries?
Oh,
Which there's literally thousands of these Lua libraries that people have written over the years for the awesome window manager. He said, why don't you do a video about every single library? And I wrote back to him, it's like, am I, even if I made a video,
That's gonna be
you know,
20 hours.
even if I made like 3-4 videos a week, in the next 10 years, I could never cover everything. And then what am I going to do? Just never make a video about anything else other than awesome libraries?
Even
Do you have any idea what you just asked me?
one guy was like, he approached me and he asked me, he was like, since XeroLinux is based on Arch, I don't understand the Arch wiki. Can you explain the entire Arch wiki?
Hey, can you read it? Can you start from page 1?
He wanted me to explain every single page of the Arch wiki because he couldn't understand it. They were too technical. He was like, can you convert it to Linux beginner terms?
Actually, I got a great tip for you when you get that kind of question, because the Arch wiki, the way it's written, it's not really that good for noobs. Tell them, go check out the Gen 2 wiki instead, because they go into a little more detail with things, which is better for a new user. Or like you read the Arch installation guide, for example. The Arch installation guide, it's like a 1-page thing.
Yeah.
It's really simple, but because it's so sparse, it's like, hey, here's the next step, install a bootloader. Okay. How do I install a bootloader? Well, you go read the bootloader page on the Arch wiki. No. The Gen 2 installation, the Gen 2 wiki gives you next install a bootloader. What is a bootloader? A bootloader is this. Here's a list of bootloaders you could, like it actually explains it like I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Where the Arch wiki, it assumes you know what the hell you're doing.
This assumption.
Even if you don't.
Yeah, the Arch wiki assumes too much. And I mentioned it before, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's just they assume too much. Whereas, like for example, the awesome WM wiki or the Qtile wiki or the other wikis for window managers, they're so in detail, and they, for one thing, they go one full page. You don't have to click another link to jump around the multiple millions of pages. No. You have, okay, you're talking about bootloaders. This is one page talking in detail. Okay, you have to scroll for half a day, but it's all on a single page. Right. Same thing goes. And by the way, we're working on a XeroLinux wiki on GitHub. We're going to have a wiki soon on GitHub, because making a video for every release, how to install every release, is stupid. Having a wiki that we can update as we go is much easier. But yeah, and GitHub, people think that GitHub is free. It's not free. When you reach a certain point where XeroLinux has reached, we have larger packages. We could go GitLab, they allow larger packages, but I've had such a bad experience with GitLab that I'm not going to go there anymore. Each person has a different experience. I'm not saying GitLab is bad. I'm just saying each person has a different experience. My experience was bad, so I have to stick to GitHub in order for me to keep large packages instead of spreading all packages all around the web. Centralize everything. In order to centralize everything, that's why I'm raising a little bit of funds extra, is to pay for LFS, large file system on GitHub to host larger packages. So once I reach that, I'm gonna centralize all my packages under one roof, instead of having a mirror list in Sweden, a mirror list in South Korea, and whatever. I just want them all under one roof. This is where part of the funds will go. It's not going to me. I'm not buying anything for me. I'm not going to buy another desktop or anything. I'm getting a free laptop from my brother as a hand-me-down, a Razer laptop. In April, when we go to my sister's wedding, he's going to give me his old Razer laptop. That's going to permit me to learn how to set up hybrid graphics. That's going to make me understand what the hell users are on about, because I don't know anything about that. So the funds are all going towards growing XeroLinux. It's not going into my pocket. This is what they keep forgetting. They think, oh, if we donate to him, he's gonna go buy himself a Ferrari. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice, but even if I don't even get close. In 150 days, almost 6 months. I barely raised 300 euros.
Mhm.
What the hell? It's not
Yeah.
gonna buy myself a Ferrari tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this,
It's like the crazy comments sometimes I get on my videos. Why'd you make a video on this topic? I see it's getting a lot of views, but you're just milking it for that money. I was like,
yeah,
yeah, this video I did about this Linux distro. Yeah, I'm milking it for that Linux distro money. Like
yeah.
there's so much money involved in making a
Oh yeah,
video.
distros are gonna pay you to make videos.
Oh man, I've had I'm just a shill for this or that or it's like
J2Sense gets the
who
same
am I
thing.
shilling for? Like which distribution?
All tech
Arch Linux. Well, Arch Linux isn't even owned by a company. Who in the hell on the Arch Linux team is going to pay me money to?
all tech YouTubers get the same thing. Like J2Sense gets comments like, "You're a shill for Nvidia." One day he's a shill for Nvidia. He makes a video of AMD. All of a sudden he switched and he's a shill of AMD.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I just block out all the trolls. I mean, I let them comment, but I don't pay them much. I laugh at a lot of my comments. It actually provides me a lot of entertainment. I think it keeps me sane a lot of it because I see the shape that some of these people are in mentally. I laugh. I was like,
yeah.
I'm glad I don't act like that on the internet.
That's why I sometimes thank the Lord I'm such a small YouTube channel because I don't get any of those comments.
You will. You will.
That's why I'm thanking. I'm too.
There's always a certain percentage of your audience that's like that. And as your audience grows, of course,
you would get more.
That percentage is still the same percentage, but it's a lot more people.
Yeah.
Like again, when you're small, they don't matter. But when you get bigger, now all of a sudden you've got thousands of these jack wagons.
I'm at almost 1,000 subscribers with 995 as of today.
Oh well, heck, we're gonna get you there this week then.
Hopefully.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm going to do a live stream. Still don't know how to do live streams, but I'm gonna wing it. However it works, it works.
Yeah, I wish I could help you with the live stream, but you've seen my live streams. They typically don't go well.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the best, but still, I'm still at 1,125 watch hours. I still have a long way to go. Is it I have to meet one or I have to meet all the criteria?
They changed it recently.
I don't know. I'm confused.
I don't know. I think it used to be 4,000, but I don't know what it is now.
No, I mean
I thought
it's still 4,000. I
is
checked
it?
Yeah, but should I meet the 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 hours, or if I meet 1,000 before the 4,000, is it okay? I don't know.
When I had to meet that requirement, which was 5 years ago now, I had to meet both.
Oh, so it has to be both. So
Yeah, because I had the 4,000 watch hours for me way before I had 1,000 subscribers.
yeah,
But I still couldn't, like, I
Mon-
couldn't do a live stream or anything, all that until I finally got the 1,000. So it was both for me. I don't know if it still is.
Now I think we can do live streams, but they won't be monetized. Nothing will be monetized.
Right.
And I won't have the super chat. I cannot do super
Because
chats.
I remember the day I got 1,000 subscribers, I was so excited. I'm going to do my first live stream. And 10 minutes into my live stream, the feed cut out. Like,
They give you a certain allocation of time.
No, they had actually struck my channel.
Oh.
Gave me a temporary ban.
Ooh.
And I'm like, what the hell's going on? I contacted YouTube support and it was reversed. I still don't know what the hell they did. I guess because it was my first stream. I don't know if they thought of this some weird
Okay, so I'm
spam attack or something. I don't know what they thought was going on. I was like, because I barely got started.
So I'm gonna
I just hit the start streaming button. I talked for not even 10 minutes, probably like 5 minutes, and boom, all of a sudden, like
I'm gonna avoid live streaming until I get the 4,000 hours.
Yeah,
it's
one of them things. YouTube, because of their automated bots and algorithms and so much stuff, there's gets flagged for no reason. I actually got a video that had been demonetized for 5 years, overturned yesterday. I got an email from YouTube. We're going to monetize this video, and nobody's going to watch now
Yeah,
I mean,
this is.
it's like, oh, thank you.
But I got a strike. No, what a copyright claim on one of my videos because at minute 15, starting minute 15, I changed audio music,
Mhm,
and I used, those videos that tell you no copyright free music,
mhm,
and they put those playing graphs and visualizers and whatever. I
mhm.
used one of their tracks. They detected it as copyright claim or whatever.
Well, chances are, if it was like a YouTube video, they thought the YouTube video.
I don't know what they thought. I
Yeah,
did. They just flagged
it's
it,
one of
and
those things you just appeal it and it'll be overturned pretty quickly once
yeah, I
a
did
real.
that, and it was quickly overturned because I linked them to the YouTube channel where they mention it's copyright free music.
Yeah.
So
What I learned, um, not because it's ever happened to me, I just could see what other YouTubers were doing. I just don't put any music in my videos. Like I never play a video in the browser unless it's muted or unless it's one of my own. I
yeah,
don't play music at all. Don't play music from a video game because most of that stuff's going to be
yeah,
copyright. Don't play music at all.
that's
Um,
that's what I started doing. I started removing the music. I don't
and when
use
I do
music.
like, some of my little skits or whatever, anything I'm going to do where my face isn't on the screen, but I have got some background music, maybe some animations or something going on. And, the music I get is all from the YouTube audio library, and I make
Yeah,
sure it's under a Creative
that's
Commons license.
this is what I
And you're
started
good.
doing
Yeah.
early on, but I then stopped because a lot of people complained the music is louder, your voice is louder, blah blah blah. So I stopped using music altogether.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's hard when people are talking over music.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it removes from the concentration and whatever.
No, you don't want to overuse it. Like if you were doing like a 2 hour live stream and music was playing constantly in the background, people get tired of that quick.
Anyway, we are at 1 hour and a half mark. I'm not gonna make it any longer than that. Just part two. Make sure to watch part two on DT's channel sometime next week, where we're going to talk in depth about the new Zero G.
And then we're
Uh,
going to talk about why both of us love GNOME,
yeah.
right? That's what
Who knows? Maybe we're actually gonna talk
we
about that.
might. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the strides they've been doing lately.
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyway, I started off the year watching. I don't do it every year, but I don't know why this year I felt nostalgic and I watched. I don't know if you know Andre Rieu. He's a composer and conductor. Uh, his new Christmas New Year event was a comedy show. It was a comedy show.
Okay.
It was he was using his orchestra and the public as parts of the play. He
Hmm.
was doing whistling and jumping, and he's 70 years old. He's not young, but to do such things like they made fake snowfall on the people, and
Hmm.
then at the end of the piece they let the rest of the snow fall at once, all at once, and he was like he looked at an old lady. They were all Most of them were old people because old people listen to this kind of music.
Most
Uh,
of them were old people. Really? That shocks me. Yeah.
well, classical Mozart,
Right. It's
Bach,
not a young
and
person. It was never a young person's game.
yeah. So they were like the ladies were doing like that to shake
Yeah.
off all the snow, and he looked at the lady. He was like, "Ma'am, you got snow over here. You want me to help you? You want me to help
And,
you?"
and being,
It was a comedy show. It was nice. That
and being a
was
classical musician, I can tell you that I've never played in any kind of orchestra, any kind of orchestra concert, performed any kind of operas or anything like that, where like you look out in the crowd and it's all young people. That just never happened. It was,
no, but being at we're starting to get there. Like at 45 years old, you start to slowly but surely go there. I think that was the beginning for me because I never enjoyed this kind of music. To me, it was a cacophony of stuff. I'm into Metallica 80s and 90s and stuff like that. I'm not into anything modern.
Mm.
And anything old like that. But suddenly, like on Christmas and New Year, I watched Andre Rieu and I was like, huh, I love this music. What happened? Especially that it was an act. All of it was an act. It was really nice, the interaction with the people. And then on New Year's, I watched the Vienna Philharmonic.
Philharmonic, yeah, that's a great orchestra.
Yeah, I watched it. I started watching it 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and I watched the entirety of it. I found it on YouTube with very little, TV presenter comments.
Hmm.
But I'm waiting for the Blu-ray to actually be available. But yeah, I was like, I put it
Yeah,
in the back.
if you're into classical music, anytime you're looking for a recording of any big classical piece, if you find a recording by the Vienna Philharmonic, it's always
It's always there,
great.
and
Because you're talking about some of the best musicians in the entire world, sitting
yeah,
in that orchestra.
the cost of the ticket is $5,000.
No,
But one, I think in 2015 or 2014, I watched one where Julie Andrews was there.
no.
And being a classical musician like herself, I would have expected no less. When I saw her in the public, I was like, I'm watching the right thing. But I put this music in the background while I was building XeroLinux. It really calms me down.
Nice. Okay.
It calms me down. So that was the beginning of the new year. Hopefully, 2023 will be good. Fingers crossed, and people stop harassing me for making new additions. What about you? How are you gonna? Do you have any plans for 2023, or are you gonna wing it?
You know what? I spent the last couple of days kind of thinking about things I want to do this year. And then I spent, I don't know, 30 minutes just, want to go in this direction for things, that direction. And then I realized, don't overthink it. I just, it'll come to me,
Same here.
just,
I set a goal to myself to make more YouTube videos.
yeah.
I had
I just,
no I had no ideas, and all of a sudden, I have an idea.
yeah, for me, it seems like just play things as they come.
Yeah,
It's the right approach because if I start, once you start trying to map out goals that you have to meet, you put so
stress,
much, yeah,
stress.
well, yeah, and then sometimes you end up working on things you don't enjoy, you didn't want to work on in the first place because
Yeah,
you wrote it on this damn list. And don't do that, right?
yeah. It's gonna cause stress because you didn't
Right.
meet that goal. You didn't have
Mm-hmm.
time for that. But yesterday, I had an idea to make a video about decomp editor in GNOME because
Yeah.
GNOME is
Well, I haven't thought about that in
yeah, because it
a
uses
decade. Editor, right? That's a blast from the past.
yeah, I'll tell you what. Working on zero G,
Mm-hmm.
decomp, not decomp editor as the GUI tool. Forget the GUI tool. The
Mm-hmm.
decomp command in terminal is so powerful. You
Oh,
can reset. You can reset the desktop to factory settings like pure vanilla GNOME. Just run a command in terminal. Bye bye. All the custom settings are gone. Extensions and what have you gone. If you want to, I used it to my advantage. I created a script that if you mess up your zero G installation or settings for whatever reason, you try to install an extension, it messed everything up. You just run xdecomp in terminal. It's gonna first step. It's gonna reset GNOME to vanilla settings, and then it's gonna reapply from Skell. It's gonna copy the files over from Skell and then reapply the settings using the exported file because in decomp you can export your settings into a conf file. So
right.
if you have it in Skell, it's not going to be overwritten or anything unless I release an updated package for the settings. But otherwise, it's not going to be overwritten. So it will use that file and reset the settings to ISO defaults. So dconf is really powerful. Especially, I wish we had similar thing for KDE. KDE doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
KDE is a different ball game. It's it's like doing this with
Yeah,
KDE.
decomp. I remember using it back in the day for like GNOME 2. Like that would have been like 12 years ago. But it was almost, it was this magical, almost like a Windows registry kind of thing where I could go in and just
Hack
do
away.
random. I could break the system
Yeah.
doing some of the stuff I could do. Like I could.
Like some users prefer the old look of GNOME terminal. You can bring
Mhm.
that back using decomp.
Mhm.
Just a flag. Set it to false. Done. So basically, I'm really loving this part of GNOME. But anyway, to be continued for part 2 of this on DT's channel. This video will be up within the next 24 to 48 hours. So I just need to clean up the audio and clean up the video, but there will be no editing. We didn't do any mistakes. The internet has not throttled yet, thank the Lord. That's why I'm ending it here, because I don't want to stretch my luck.
Yeah, don't push it.
Yeah. So thank you for being here, DT. Hope you have a great
Yeah, this was fun.
2023. And hope people realize how much work and effort goes into every project, and show some support, some love, if they want to see it really continue. So
Yeah,
XeroLinux is
absolutely.
here to stay. It's only you who will permit it to stay. If if we don't see any growth, there's no need to stay. It will become just a personal thing for me, and I'm done succumbing to people's demands without them showing some sort of appreciation one way or the other. So with that being said, Happy New Year to everyone, and I will see you on DT's channel next week. See
Happy New
ya.
Year. Peace.